You're listening to the Business Communicators.
One of the things that I liked about, the conversation with Bonnie is that she was wanting to push forward, wanting to innovate, wanting to highlight the creativity within the organization. And I think that's so important as communicators, is to always push the envelope, never be complacent with what you're doing. And I think one of the people that probably does that best in the content creation space is actually David Dobrik. And I'm not sure if you guys saw the news this past week, but for those of you that don't know, David Dobrik, he's one of the biggest content creators out there on YouTube, TikTok, basically all of these platforms. He's kind of known for giving away Teslas, and he's done a great job with, brand sponsorships and endorsements, but he decided to do things a little bit differently this time. He actually created a puzzle. And the puzzle you can buy for $30. I believe it's on his website. We'll drop a link in the show notes, but for $30, you can build this puzzle. You make it, and then there's a QR code in the center. You grab your phone, you scan the QR code, and you can win anywhere from 25 cents to $100,000. And it has completely taken the internet by storm this past week, with people, wanting to risk, maybe gamble that $30, not only to have some fun, some enjoyment, to build a puzzle with friends, family, but for the possibility of maybe winning 100K. Is this genius marketing for David Dobrik?
I think it is. He's a very well-known entity in the social media place. I think if I also remember correctly, that TikTok is paying him to move away from YouTube and onto the TikTok platform. I think reading some of the notes about how many puzzles he sold in the first 24 hours is just mind-boggling. But it shows you the power that social media has. For anything, whether it's to sell your product, to change an idea, to start a movement. And also in the news was the Facebook going under the monopolistic thing. And I'm torn when I hear that, just because it's a communications platform. Members don't sign up to join it, but advertisers do. But it shows that the media does influence everything. So David Dobrik, please come join us on the podcast at some point in time. I'll complete your puzzle, maybe.
You can, even though it ships December 21, the game doesn't end until March 31st or whenever they sell out. So, and it's a pretty difficult puzzle. So I'm kind of intrigued, given the fact that I could win from 25 cents up to $100,000. It's almost like playing the lottery, just in a different way, in a little bit more complete way. So what do you have to lose? I mean, it's cheaper to buy lottery tickets, but if you want your mind challenge, go ahead and get this puzzle, right? Come on.
Well, you know what we could do? What we could do is our first episode that we record live in person, we can live stream us doing this puzzle, and we can write it off, saying that it's for... We could say
I'm
that
game.
It's for. Oh, I see what you did. Saying it, I'm game. Well done. Very, very, very punny. If it was, Hattie. But one thing that I did want to kind of discuss on this David Dobrik news is, he's done a really good job in his career of partnering with brands. And I saw a question posted by Ian Borthwick on social media this week, and he was trying to predict what 2021 would look like. And he's worked a lot. He's done a lot of brand deals with David Dobrik, with SeatGeek. But he posed a question on whether or not influencers should take equity deals with companies, or maybe just like a one-off check, if they're doing some sort of like sponsor post. Hattie, do you think maybe that equity play could just be breaking the ceiling for, these influencers moving forward in 2021 and beyond?
Sometimes I also think it's a wait and see, depending on the individual and who is considered an influencer and at the time, because some people are popular for certain things, some people aren't. The one thing I really like about social media, it gives people an opportunity to get exposure, make money. Why not? They could be doing so many other different things. But as for the equity in it and things such as that, let's just wait and see how that, you got to give it time.
So I found those numbers. It's 17,000 puzzles in the first hour.
What?
Yes, at $30 a piece.
That's wild.
And he has 14 million followers.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
As for the equity thing, This is where I think the brands realize that they have to be offering some sort of equity or ownership in the company, because looking through just coffee's the number one influencer commodity. Coffee is a commodity into it. And you wake up early in the morning, you have to drink coffee. It's a commodity, it's a necessity. And you see these influencers who were promoting the Dunkin' Donuts or the McDonald's coffees or etc., creating their own coffee companies. And so I think it comes down to, do we want to try to help them push our product and keep them from creating their own, or does it want to make them want to work harder for us because they're getting a penny a product or whatever it boils down to it. This also makes me wonder that if we're starting to hit a bubble in this influencer marketing, because so many times if you work for a major corporation or anything that's a consumer-based thing, hey, can you sponsor this event? Hey, can you sponsor this event? Hey, can you sponsor this event? And having friends who worked in the sponsorship thing, they were getting hit up for all sorts of stuff that never materialized. Oh yeah, we're gonna have a concert. It's gonna have 100,000 people there, and it has 10,000. There was a concert probably about 5 or 6 years ago up in the Humble area, I think, outside of Houston, that the artists on stage were like, man, I feel like I'm playing for a backyard barbecue, because there was nobody there. And so does this have to kind of lower that buying threshold, saying, okay, instead of giving you $50,000, we'll give you $10,000, but you'll get a percentage of the sales? Or are there starting to be guarantees in there? Or are we just hitting the bubble of the influencer marketing that everybody's an influencer?
Well, I know that's one thing that is something that we've spoken about at IABC Houston with local events. We had an influencer, Emily Heron. She runs the Instagram account Champagne and Chanel. I think she's got 1.1 million followers now. I think when we had her at the IBC luncheon, she was probably around 400K. And then we also had Jen Cannon, I believe is her name. She is she works a lot with brands during South by Southwest, and she said that the big issue is, some of these smaller influencers, they might claim that they have 100,000 followers, 50,000 followers, but some of them are bought. They're not actually getting that engagement. So I think you've got to look at it as a difference between people that think they're influencers and people like David Dobrik who are influencers. I mean, you mentioned 17,000 puzzles sold in the first hour. That's more than $500,000. I mean, he's already paid for that $100,000 giveaway, within the first hour. So I think there are people that can move mountains when it comes to posting on social media, and there are others who think they can, but don't actually have any, real weight. It comes down to those, 1,000 true fans. And can you build those 1,000 true fans that can actually create a movement, create a platform? But we look at some of these numbers that are being thrown out there on social media. Charli D'Amelio, she is, the biggest TikToker in the world. She's got over 100 million followers on TikTok alone. For just one sponsored TikTok post, she charges over $100,000. I mean, she's building an empire. She's 16, 17 years old. She's mind-blowing.
I'm not mad at her. I'm not mad. Get that 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, make the money, cash out while you can, invest it wisely, and then retire on an island somewhere. And especially COVID.
Yeah, and it's especially figuring out how you can pivot, not only have short-term success, but long-term success. And that's why I think this, whole equity scenario with influencers is going to be interesting to watch as we head into 2021 and beyond. And I mean, it's crazy. 2020.
You're listening to the Business Communicators.